In 2013, Evan Spiegel turned down a $3 billion acquisition offer from Facebook. A few months later, Snapchat's IPO valued the company at $18 billion. Overnight success, but Evan had been working on Snapchat since 2011. He was rejected by 50 investors before getting his first outside funding, and even then it was only $200,000. For 2 years, he bootstrapped the company, taking it from an embarrassing photo-sharing app to a chat app to the hit that is Snapchat today. His company didn't start turning a profit until 2017, for years after launch. If you'd asked me back in 2014 if Evan would build a multi-billion-dollar company, I honestly don't know what I would have bet. If you look into the background of most successful companies, you'll find years of losses, massive personal debt, and soul-crushing stress. In fact, most startups burn cash faster than they ever see revenue, forcing founders to dilute equity or fold. It's so common that there's actually a term for it. The startup sees a huge influx of money from outside investors. They hire lots of employees who also need to be paid. There's a lot of overhead in running the business. You try to grow, but your product isn't ready, and you end up burning through all your cash without any revenue. This is why only 50% of startups survive past their first year, and only 16% make it past 5 years. For every overnight success story, there are thousands of cautionary tales. So what makes some companies succeed while others fail? What do the survivors do differently? Let's take a step back and analyze how to build a great company from the ground up. Let's start at the beginning. If you've got this great idea for an app, maybe it solves a problem that you personally had, or maybe you just think it'll be really cool. Either way, you're excited and you want to go build it. Stop. Before you write a single line of code or spend a dime of your own money, you need to do one thing and one thing only. Validate demand. How bad does the world want your app? Do people understand the problem your app is trying to solve? Would they even pay for a solution? Have other companies tried to solve this and failed? These are not easy questions to answer. I couldn't tell you enough times how many entrepreneurs come to me with the most amazing product, and then they tell me that they spent $500,000 building it, but they didn't talk to a single potential customer before investing all that money. Once you've validated demand, you can move on to the next step, building your MVP or minimum viable product. The goal here is to get something in front of customers as quickly as possible, learn what they like and what they don't, and then iterate based on their feedback. Don't fall in love with your idea. Fall in love with solving your customer's problem. Your idea is just a hypothesis. If you're wrong, you don't want to find out 6 months and hundreds of thousands of dollars down the line. This is where things get tough. Because once you've built your MVP, you now need to find product market fit. That means you need to convince people to use your product. And if you're trying to build a consumer app, that means convincing hundreds of thousands or even millions of people. That is incredibly hard. I started my career as a product manager at a major tech company. I worked there for 8 years, and we were not able to ship a new feature to 100 million daily active users without dedicating an entire team of 50-plus engineers for months or even years. If you're trying to build a B2B product, the challenge is different, but it's equally daunting. You need to find businesses that are willing to give up their old processes, adopt something new, and trust you with their data and their money. This is especially hard when your product is competing against an incumbent that has been doing it for decades. You should assume that your big breakthrough will require years of work and probably and happen on your timeline. That's assuming nothing goes wrong. What if someone copies your idea? Someone always will. It's inevitable. Here's the thing. When someone copies you early on, that's actually a good sign. It means that you found something that people want. You should consider it a compliment. When you're small, focus on being fast and scrappy. Let the bigger companies follow you around, waste time and money trying to figure out what's going on. Use that to your advantage, but what if someone bigger copies you? Let's say you re a marketplace and they throw billions of dollars at acquiring users and outspending you on commissions. What then? First of all, you should consider yourself lucky that you found that out early rather than later. Now, it depends on what kind of moat you've built around your business. If you've truly solved a unique problem, they're going to struggle replicating your solution. If they're forced to copy you, at least you'll have time to pivot. What about regulation? Regulators hate tech monopolies. If you're growing fast, regulators might start knocking on your door. It happened to Google, Facebook, Microsoft. It will happen to you too, if you're successful. Once again, this is just another risk that you have to plan for. You need to build your company with the expectation that regulators will try to box you in. Build your business in a way that gives you flexibility and prepare to fight in court. As a founder, you'll constantly be struggling for your company's survival. No matter how hard you work, you'll never achieve true work-life balance. If you value that, maybe entrepreneurship isn't for you. As a founder, you'll have to make decisions that will affect hundreds or even thousands of people. Will you lay off your friends? Will you betray your co-founder? Will you sell out your vision? These are the kinds of questions that keep founders up at night. Steve Jobs famously said that he would go to sleep at night and wake up in the middle of the night thinking about problems. Then he'd stay up till 5 a.m. solving them. If you want to build a great company, you need to be able to handle that kind of pressure. Now, let's say you've managed to survive past all those hurdles. You've got product market fit. Investors are growing fast. Investors are lining up to give you money. Now you need to raise money. Fundraising is like speed dating. You need to meet dozens of people, pitch them, and hope that one of them says yes. You'll give up some ownership of your company in exchange for funding, but that's normal and expected. What's not normal is giving up control. Investors almost always want a seat at the table. Yes. And if you let them invest, you'll have to share decision-making power. You'll need to justify every strategic choice, every hiring decision, every product launch. Are you okay with that? If not, then don't raise money. Bootstrap. Do whatever you can to avoid taking outside investment. That said, there's one thing that's worse than giving up some control. That's running out of money and having to shut down. So you'll have to raise money. Be prepared to hustle. Some investors will ask you for ridiculous terms. It's not unusual for them to ask for 50% ownership in exchange for $500,000. They'll try to take advantage of you. It's your job to negotiate and make sure you're comfortable with the deal. I'm not saying that you shouldn't care about your investors. Of course you should. They're betting on you and your vision. But you should never lose sight of the fact that you're the expert on your product and your business. Even if an investor doesn't understand your technology, even if they don't believe in your vision, it's still your call. I know this might sound like a lot of pressure, and it is. That's why 99% of us aren't entrepreneurs. We don't start companies. But if you're going to do this, you need to be absolutely committed. If you're going to put in 80-hour weeks, if you're going to sacrifice family time, if you're going to take on debt, and risk losing everything, you need to be confident that you can handle the responsibility. If you can get past all these hurdles, you're on the home stretch. You'll need to keep iterating, keep improving, keep growing. And if you can do that successfully, you might just build a great company. But even if you do, remember that overnight success is a myth. Success is never a straight line. It's always 2 steps forward and 1 step back. No matter how high you climb, there's always someone behind you waiting to catch up. So stay focused on the fundamentals. Don't get distracted by the hype. Obsess over hard metrics, not vanity metrics. If you do all that, you might just be able to build a great company,